Hey everyone, welcome to my St. John's Lace Caps jersey. Woo! We're not gonna suck this year. Uh, welcome to my Eastern Conference prediction thing. And I'm only doing this because, well, I did the standings last part, or last video. I'm bad at this. Um, I did, the standings predictions last time, but now it's time to back them up. And I've made some changes. Let's start with the Atlantic because, well, it's not even Atlantic. Only two teams are on the Atlantic. Tampa Bay doesn't even count. It's on the Gulf Coast. Eighth place, Buffalo Sabres. They're in a rebuild. And I don't know what they're trying to be when they grow up. I mean, they have the centers, they have the D, but they have no wingers. And are they planning on keeping Vanek around during a rebuild? I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do. Depending upon the return for Miller, if they ever trade him, maybe they'll get one or two. But honestly, this team is going to be bad. They're going to be in the Sam Reinhart, Aaron Ekblad sweepstakes, and I'm hoping Ivan Barbashev is up there too. Seventh place, Florida Panthers, the most unlucky team in the league last year. They had millions of injuries, and there were only one, maybe two bright spots. Jonathan Huberdeau and maybe Sean Mathias. With that being said, there's nowhere to go but up for this team. I just don't think they're going to go up very far, considering they now have the Red Wings, Bruins, Senators, Canadiens in their division. And plus, I don't feel comfortable having Markstrom-Clemenson as my goaltending duo. I just don't. Markstrom's unproven, and Clemenson's a career backup. I mean, I personally would prefer to keep Theodore around. But that's just me. That's why I'm not Dale Talon. Sixth place, Toronto Maple Leafs. Here comes all the hatred from all the Leaf fans. Alright, I have several reasons for this. Number one, what did they do to improve themselves this offseason? I mean, they didn't need a goalie because Reimer had a ridiculous season last year. They bought out their best center because Bozak and Kessel have chemistry. Well, Bozak's numbers with Kessel are still below average for a guy who's being paid, $4 million a year. And without Kessel, they're just horrifically bad. They signed Clarkson to a ridiculous contract that at this point is looking really stupid because they won't be able to re-up both Kadri and Franson. And number four, they had the highest luck score in the league last year. The numbers say that they were very lucky last year. Again, maybe they could make me look like a complete idiot, but I don't think any team with Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren in their lineup is going to be, winning playoff series or even making the playoffs in that division is going to be tough because now you have Detroit, who I think is going to make the East a joke. Fifth, Tampa Bay Lightning. If they ever sort out their D and goaltending, which they should be soon, and they have the best beard in hockey, Radko Gudas, and I like Bishop as a goaltender. And plus, Vasilevsky's coming through the pipeline. He'll probably be in North America next year because this year he's still under contract to Salavat Ulayev, which is his KHL team in Ufa. They're going to be fun to watch. I mean, if you're a fan of Fire Wagon hockey and high-scoring sports games, if you're a hockey fan looking for a high-scoring team, watch the Lightning because Drouin Stamkos, St. Louis, and then they have players. Up-and-coming players, though. Killorn, Johnson, Panik. I really like Rich Panik. And that ain't bad. Oh, yeah, and Teddy Purcell, the newfie. That said, I don't think they have the defense or the goaltending to make the playoffs. But again, maybe they'll make me look like a complete idiot. Fourth place in getting the second wild card position for the playoffs this year, the Canadiens. This depends upon if Carey Price decides to show up this year, or if we see the Carey Price that completely crapped the bed down the stretch, which may or may not have been related to that injury he suffered during the first round of the playoffs during Game 4 against the Senators. Well, my computer brightness being derpy. That ain't cool. That said, I really don't know what to say about Montreal. I don't get the Peros acquisition. I mean, if they wanted size, why didn't they just go out and sign someone big? Antropov, for that matter! I'm probably going to get murdered by a couple Montreal fans for suggesting that they should have signed Nick Antropov. Alright, third place, Ottawa. I think they're going to be... I think Alfredsson walking may have been the best thing to happen to them. They get salary... They got they got Bobby Ryan, they got Clark MacArthur. They have two very good goaltenders, the up-and-coming Robin Lehner, and the very underrated Craig Anderson. Their forwards... I mean, if they stay healthy, they could win the division. I mean, Paul McLean, I don't know how, with all those injuries they had last year, they made the playoffs. Paul McLean must be some sort of wizard. Okay? That's all I have to say. Paul McLean is a wizard. A walrus wizard. And then second place, the Bruins. Really don't have a whole lot to say about them. Because they've changed so much. Dumping Sagan, Peverly, letting Horton walk. I don't even know if Campbell's going to be healthy. But hey, they finally got a Ginla in the end run, and they still have Kokleshev and Bartkowski. But yeah, by the way, Tuukka Rask is my Vezina pick. And back to Tampa, Drouin's my Calder pick. And first place, the Atlantic Division champions. Not so Atlantic Division champions. The Detroit Red Wings. I think with the youth they have, plus the addition of the veteran leaders in Weiss and Alfredsson, they're going to make the East a joke. They only barely made the playoffs last year because they played in such a tough division. You're playing a lot of games against the Blackhawks, Blues. Columbus was a pain in the butt last year for them. They don't have to play them anymore. Now they get free points. Florida, Buffalo. Whoever finishes last in the Metro, which will probably be New Jersey. I'll get to that in a couple minutes. Yeah. And, hey, maybe Jimmy Howard is this year's Ryan Miller. Breakout year and an Olympic year. Yeah. So moving on to the Metro Division, which is something I never, ever, ever, ever want to say ever again. Who the hell came up with that name? But anyways, freaking phone. Anywho, 8th place. This is one of my changes. Devils. I see Adam Henrique, Travis Zajac, an aging couple of Czechs, and people. They're going to be a bunch of no-names this year, outside of goaltending. Adam Larson could have a good year, though. I don't know. The Devils just, I really want to say they'll make the playoffs, because I really like their management, and I really like their fans. But they're just not going to be good this year, because, well, I can barely name any of their defensemen. I mean, I know a lot about hockey, but I can barely name any of their defensemen. I mean, Schneider is going to have some sort of, like, ridiculous year for them to contend for a playoff spot. And to make things even worse for Devils fans, they don't even get their first-round pick. Which begs the question as to why didn't they give up the pick when they picked 29th overall? It just doesn't make sense. Now you're coughing up what'll probably be a lottery pick. Anywho, off that topic, moving on to number 7, the Carolina Hurricanes. They could very well be a dark horse if Cam Ward can stay healthy and if Toulouse has that ridiculous year he had last year. But like the Devils, I can barely name any of their defensemen. I can only really name Tim Gleason and Andre Sekera, and I only know Sekera because he was acquired in a trade. Yeah. Their defense is bad. Their offense should be good. Cam Ward is always a solid goaltender. And they have Anton Hudobin, who's an upgrade over Dan Ellis and whoever the hell they had else. I think they had Boucher a couple years ago. But yeah, their defense is just... Ward is going to have to stand on his head, and the offense is going to have to be ridiculous, like Tampa level ridiculous. 6th place, Flyers. They didn't fix any of their problems! What else can I say? They had defensive problems, and then they go out and trade for Mark Streit. Ooh, another offensive defenseman. And I can at least name most of their defensemen, but they have too many offensive defensemen, and really, they didn't even fix their goaltending issue, really. Although Mason could have a bounce back year. Who knows? I mean, the Flyers, for all I know, could make me look like a complete idiot. Like they made a lot of people look like complete idiots the last time they missed the playoffs. The next year, they went on to within 3 games of the Stanley Cup final. That said, 5th place, this is a change from my original thing. The Rangers. Lundqvist. And I don't think Vigneault is the right coach for this team. I mean, let's face it, I don't really think they have the sort of elite level talent that, they, in Vancouver, they had the Sedins. They have Nash, who's getting up there in the years, I think. He's in, like, his early 30s, I want to say. Let me look that up. Rick Nash age. Either I'm completely overestimating his age, or, I don't know, time just goes slower than I thought. 29? Wow. Yeah, I don't really think they have the elite talent of, like, the Sedins, and then your good players, Kessler, Burroughs, and really, they don't really, I don't know. They're just iffy. I mean, if they had the blue line they had last year, Tortorella working with them, they played well defensively. They couldn't score for beans with basically the same exact scorers. I mean, unless someone pulls an ace of their ass. I don't know. 4th place, and now my first wildcard team, the Capitals. Signing Grabowski was very, very good. I think he might have a breakout year next year. Because, well, stick it to the Leafs. But also, he replaces Mike Ribeiro, only he's younger. And if memory serves, he's a little cheaper. Don't quote me on that. And if Ovechkin falls asleep for most of the season, let's face it, they're screwed. Unless then he scores, like, a goal a game down the stretch like he did last year, which was just stupid. But yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs now. I don't know, I just felt uncomfortable, like, saying they'd be a playoff team with Brooks Lake as their 2 seed. I don't know. 3rd place, New York Islanders. And I actually think they'll go on would it even be considered a Cinderella run, though? In the playoffs. And I think Tavares will win the Hart Trophy. And really, it's the same group that made the playoffs last year. But a year more mature. And they still have questions in goal. But also, Streit gave them some cap space to work around with. And also a space on the blue line for a young guy to move up. Who will that young guy be? I have no idea. For all I know, they could... No, Vele Pocket's still too young. Probably. And plus, they'll have Strome this year. So, yeah. They'll be pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if they made some sort of deep playoff run. Actually, I predicted them to make one. I predicted them in the conference final. Don't make me look stupid, Tavares. 2nd place, and this is my off-the-board pick for this Eastern Conference, Columbus. I think their offense is going to be much improved. I mean, Richards is a great coach. I think he's my pick for the Jack Adams, Todd Richards. Bobrovsky, I think, is for real. I mean, the big reason one of the reasons why his save percentage was so high is because he faced a lot of shots. And his technique is much better than some of the other European goaltenders, like Pavlik. And don't get me wrong, I love off-ice Pavlik, but he's just, on ice, he gives me heart failure. That said, I don't know. I really don't know. I think Murray could be an impact defenseman right away. I mean, for all I know, he could be the next Eric Johnson, a complete and total flop. Well, I wouldn't say Eric Johnson's a complete and total flop, but I'm getting off topic. Jack Johnson should get the C, by the way. Columbus, if you're watching this, which you're probably not. And first place, no surprise, Pittsburgh. But I don't think they'll be as dominant as they have been. I don't really understand why they're paying Scuderi that much for that long. But they needed to shut down D, and Murray was clearly unranked. So they figure, hey, why not replace him with a guy we already know? Genius. But who are they going to pair him with? Warpick? Probably. I don't know if Fleury's still going to have the confidence after it was probably destroyed in the playoffs last year, and he doesn't have the long off season to try and repair it. I mean, he's seeing some sort of sports psychiatrist, but I seriously doubt it'll work. And Vokun is going to be a fossil at this point. I mean, I don't know how he caught fire in the playoffs. He didn't even really catch that much fire in the playoffs. That's the thing. They still gave up, 2, 3, 4 goals a game. 6 in that one game against the Bruins. He had 3 good games. Game 3 and 4 against Boston, and game 5 the Islanders series. Then I think he had a decent game against Ottawa. But that being said, alright. So let's go with my East playoff predictions. Redux. Alright. Red Wings over, what do I have there again? Canadians, I think. Senators over Bruins. Penguins over Capitals, I think I put there. Yeah, Capitals. Let's just go with that. And Islanders over Blue Jackets. Then Islanders over Penguins. Senators over Red Wings. Senators over Islanders. Okay? That's all I have to say on the East. I'm going to get started with the West as soon as I finish this. So, yeah. See you in 5 seconds.